Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As you can see here, I mentioned that we met with Rishi here, my old friend from China, originally from Ireland, but we used to work together in China. So anyway, we met here in Bali, Indonesia, and in this video we actually would like to talk about cost of living in different countries, coming from our own experience. So why don't you start, Rishi?
So for people that will talk about digital nomads, trying to relocate or willing to relocate, I was going to compare between the different Southeast Asians such as Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, Philippines and Indonesia in terms of, and also compare that versus the European counterparts, the US even, for example, Australia. One thing for sure is that your money goes, of course, longer in terms of euros, pounds and dollars.
Yeah.
But also to primarily focus on the business, you can do so living in Southeast Asia because you don't have to worry about the simple day-to-day mundane tasks of household chores. For example, we're here chilling in the pool in this lovely villa here. We're going to go after this and give her to the laundry opposite the road, our clothes, dirty clothes, whatever.
Yep.
It'll be washed, dried, folded and ironed and everything basically,
And
wrapped in the plastic.
how much is going to cost in dollars?
29 pence sterling per kilogram.
Let's talk about in terms of dollars, okay? So
Okay.
wider audience could
Of
understand.
course, $36 cents.
Okay, 36 cents.
36 US dollar cents. So
Okay.
give or take 40 cents, let's say, okay?
40 cents.
So $40 cents, 30 pence. My point being per kilogram,
Yeah.
and let's say I've got 2 or 3 kilograms, so for less than $1 basically,
To get your laundry done in Bali.
in Bali,
Yeah.
it'll be enough for 3 days.
All right.
Enough laundry for 3 days. And now,
Okay, compared to where you are staying right now, you are
I'm in Surabaya.
Surabaya.
It's pretty much similar prices. Bali is a touristy place, so
Alright.
maybe the price is 5,000. Certain places in Canggu
5,000 in the local currency.
local currency,
which
yes,
is,
sorry, yes,
rupiah,
and
yeah.
rupiah, and also certain places like in Canggu and predominantly touristy areas,
Yeah.
expert population areas, it's 8,000, 10,000. So
Okay.
it could be 30%, 60%, even more sometimes,
Okay.
and sometimes double 10,000 in certain
All right,
neighborhoods.
so this is the
The
laundry.
average. This is the laundry. But my point being,
Let's talk about the accommodation first.
accommodation, Alex.
Let's compare.
For a villa, you're talking about roughly, give or take, 40 to 50 US dollars per night
in Bali.
in Bali.
Okay.
For a really good, decent 2-bedroom villa with a private swimming pool and a kitchen
Yeah.
and luxury bathrooms, 5-star hotel equivalent.
And you can also negotiate a monthly.
You can
deal
if it's a
if
long-term
you-
rental,
planning to
long-term
stay
lease.
here long
Yes.
term, right?
So give or take from 900 to 1,500 US dollars, depending on the range and depending on the location of the villa, for a really good villa.
2-bedroom villa with a pool and.
Private pool, pretty much similar size to this.
Okay.
2 bedrooms, 2 luxury bathrooms, and a
Okay.
kitchen with a common area.
And you also have some stuff as well, right? Some villas come with the stuff like cleaning.
So villas, amenities, and also perks of those villas are daily cleaning, daily pool cleaning.
That's included in
That's
the rent.
included in the rent.
Okay, cool. And how about the internet, utilities, and stuff like
Internet's pretty good here in Indonesia, by the way.
that? Yeah. Do you have to pay extra?
You don't have to pay extra,
Okay.
and you don't have to pay anything extra for the utilities. So electricity, gas, everything
All
is
paid
covered.
for,
all
all
paid
paid.
for water charges. They're all paid for local
That's
taxes.
excellent.
It's all part of the package.
All right.
So that's quite good. For $1,200 in China, Shanghai, for example, or even back in the UK or in New York or Chicago or
Now you
LA,
will get just apartment.
you
I mean,
get a
depending on
studio
the
box space, a studio apartment or
studio
something.
apartment.
Like in central London for $1,200, £1,000, you're talking about a box in central London. And this is heart of Bali, for example.
We live, for example, my family is still back in Shanghai, in China. So we live in a central area of Shanghai, exactly in the center of the city. And we rent a 2-bedroom apartment, and we pay that is 13,000 yuan. That's almost $2,000.
Exactly.
And that's excluding the utilities, bills, internet. Internet is pretty expensive in China as well, and plus it's one of the worst thing is you have to use VPN to go on
All the
social
foreign
media, all the
sites.
foreign sites, basically YouTube, Facebook, everything else. but you don't have this in Southeast Asia.
Not at all. And also one more thing, Alex, we're talking about. For example, when you're focusing on a business, when you're growing your business as a startup
Yeah.
business owner, your primary focus is to work on your business 25 hours a day.
Right.
And that's what Kevin O'Leary
Yeah.
says from Shark Tank.
Exactly.
So when you're growing your business, you want to be able to work 25 hours a day, 7 days a week. The thing is, if you're going to be focusing, well, if you have to, I suppose, on the mundane tasks such as your laundry, such as your cleaning, such as your cooking, when are you going to be able to focus your 25 hours on the business?
Okay.
Now,
Yeah, sure. Of
Bali,
course,
for
I agree.
example, amazing food options, as we discussed in the earlier
Yeah.
videos.
Both for vegetarians and meat eaters.
Meat eaters, plenty, and seafood is actually, we forgot to mention, I don't eat seafood, but for
Okay,
you,
Let's
seafood is-
let's give some examples, okay? How much you spend per meal in Bali?
So
day?
for a good
Yeah.
vegan meal in a really posh, really good vegan restaurant in Bali, you're talking about roughly $10, $10 to $12 per person
Okay.
per meal.
And compared to UK, it's
But like £10, for example, okay, you'll get a portion, you'll get a meal, but it won't be like in a really good vegan place. Plus, you have to understand, Bali, these are all like foreign foods. So in terms of groceries and in terms of sourcing the ingredients, certain ingredients can be expensive. So one
Okay.
more thing I would say definitely, certain grocery items in Southeast Asia, especially also in China, like dairy products, are much more expensive than their Western counterparts are.
Okay.
US, for example.
Yeah. But in terms of food in China, you know that even in Shanghai, in central areas, food probably will be a little bit less expensive. For example, for 30, 40 yuan, which
Yeah.
is compared to dollars, it will be like $9 or something, $8. Then you can have a decent, nice, big portion meal basically in any
Exactly.
restaurant. Yeah.
Exactly.
So 50 yuan max.
The
That's
food, like if you're eating local
$99.
Chinese food, like it's definitely cheaper. If you're going to a
Yeah.
Western
Of
restaurant,
course,
it's quite
yeah, well,
expensive. So
of
similarly here in Bali, I'm talking about Western restaurants, like
Yeah.
vegan places, all them,
Yeah.
they can be a little bit expensive.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of choices for veganism. There's
Okay.
plenty of choices for vegetarians. Plenty of choices for vegetarian Indian food, for example, as well. Plenty
You
of
have
choices.
all these varieties.
all the
basically.
varieties
Okay.
that you need.
How about, let's talk about transportation. Needless to say, in developed countries, like
Unfortunately,
developed,
there's no tube here in Bali.
in Shanghai, I mean, the public transport is very well developed. You don't even have to buy a car. But again, there's electric scooter option available in China everywhere. So you can
Yes.
buy it for like $500. You can buy brand new, the good one, $500 or less.
Yes.
And how about in Bali?
So unfortunately
happening?
for my British audience, there's no such thing as a tube. There's no central line here in Bali.
Yeah,
So Bali people mostly
you need to.
roam around on a scooter
Yeah,
or
That's
slash
motorbike,
motorbike
actually,
slash
yeah.
a scooter. So
It's like-
100 cc's.
it's not
give or
electric.
take.
It's gas.
It's gas powered. It's
Yeah.
petrol powered.
Yeah.
About 100 cc's, give or take.
Yeah.
And you can rent one for roughly 60 to 70,000 Indonesian rupiah, which in dollar terms is about $5 per
About
day.
$5 per
About
day.
less than $5 per day, excluding petrol, of course. But petrol here is so bloody cheap. Like I wish I'd bring my car over from the UK here. Petrol
So-
here is in 4 different grades.
So look, big chunk of your expenses will go to, first of all, accommodation. That's between $1,000 and $1,500 per villa, like 1 month. And then the second place is this transportation, actually.
But
right?
transportation is, as we were saying, like the petrol is in 4 different grades. The cheapest petrol is good enough for those motorcycles.
No, I mean every month you spend around like 250.
Even if you're
$300.
roaming around every day, if you're spending, let's say, 40 cents, dollar cents per day, in a month you're spending what, $12 to $15?
No, to rent it. I'm
Oh,
not
to
talking
re-
about
oh,
the
to-
gas.
oh, sorry,
Rent
okay.
it, yeah.
To rent it, you're talking about give or take
$250 to $300
dollars
a month.
a
yeah.
month.
So that's like adding up. Okay, let's say we pick the middle. Okay,
Yeah.
not 1,500, but let's say $1,300 for your villa, and you add up $250 like on top of that for your transportation, right? What is another like a big chunk? The expenses for your food, you said per meal.
Food
is
per
around
meal
like
if you're eating out all the time, but if you are able to cook, if you want to cook, if
$5
you enjoy
to
cooking,
$10?
$5, $10 per groceries, like if you cook yourself, pretty reasonable.
Okay.
One major chunk is Bali is quite far. If you're from the UK or from Europe or from America, flights can be very expensive.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you're
For
visiting
traveling.
home, like you're traveling, like once if you're visiting home twice a year, for example, that can get a little bit expensive.
Yeah,
But Bali is the hub of Southeast Asia in a way that Malaysia is only 3 hours, Singapore is only 2 hours, 2.5 hours, Australia is six and a half hours.
right.
So you're in a central location where most of the major centers of Southeast Asia are within reach.
Right.
So if you're ever like want to some escape,
Yeah.
you can do that.
Okay. And also, yeah, you know that I stayed in Manila, in Philippines,
Yeah.
for about 2 weeks, and I compared the prices, based on the information that I found online.
Yeah.
So, in Manila, for example, you can definitely rent a condo
Yeah.
in the city area, in a city center where away from the all these slums,
Yeah.
so to speak, for around $500. $500 1 month. Interestingly, this $500 comes with a gym,
Yeah.
comes with Wi-Fi, comes with all the amenities. Because I'm talking about that building I showed you the picture of. It's called Gramercy Residence, and it's very famous apparently. So this $500, the minimum price for a condo. There are different ones as well, obviously. But in the building, you have a swimming pool, you have a gym, you have even cinema where you can go and the whole cinema, have the whole cinema to yourself. There's like a PlayStation room as well, with the PlayStations installed. You don't have to bring your own. So yeah, it's like comparing the accommodation. Of course, in Manila, probably you won't be able to rent a villa,
No.
because I haven't seen any. But yeah, you will be renting an apartment, a flat, in a building. But what I discovered is, for example, if you go outside of Manila, you go to different islands. For example, there's an island called Siargao,
Yeah.
and there's a Cebu, or there's Palawan. There you can definitely find villas, just like in Bali.
Yeah.
But the daily rate, you're saying that in here like between $40 and $50, right?
Give or
But
take.
in those places, I've seen villas for around $28 per night
Yeah.
to like $40 per night.
Of course.
Of course, there are expensive ones as well, depending on what kind of.
There will be a slight variance between
Yeah.
the cost of living between both,
Yeah.
as we were discussing in our earlier videos.
Yeah.
It's up to the people, it's personal circumstances,
Yeah.
to decide where they would want to relocate or where they would want to relocate. For example, most of the villas, 99% of the villas in Bali come with internet access anyhow.
Yeah.
So that's also one of the utilities that you don't have to worry about. That's
This
also
is one
included.
thing actually. In Philippines, internet is not stable. Even the places I mentioned, like Cebu, Siargao, or Palawan, what you have to do is just you need to buy a SIM card
Yeah.
specifically for internet,
Yeah.
without any calling minutes and stuff
Yeah.
like. But it's very cheap actually. At the airport, because usually at airports the prices are high. Even at the
course.
airport, I paid 1,000 Filipino pesos for 96 gigabytes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very cheap actually.
That's very cheap, of course.
Very cheap.
So what's
And
the
you can
exchange
carry-
rate between $1 and...
I
We'll
don't,
put that in
Yeah,
the-
we'll put that on the screen right now. I don't want to give wrong information, but still, compared to Bali, internet is very cheap in Philippines. And once you have that SIM card, you can carry it to any island you want, and you can use a hotspot and use your laptop or whatever. But generally speaking, it's not stable. It's like on and off all the time.
There are certain drawbacks of certain places, and
Yeah.
everybody, you met that US person in Manila.
Yeah, well, yeah. Shout out to Swade.
Yeah.
You watched the video.
So, you mentioned for him, for his personal circumstances, Philippines suits him better. Everybody's different. For
he
me,
said that he stayed here 1 year
Yeah.
and then decided to move to Philippines. I also seen a German guy,
Yeah.
almost in the same circumstance. He said stayed in Bali, but recently moved to Philippines the first time.
my own circumstances, I wouldn't be able to live here full time. I won't lie to the audience here. But it's a great place to come every now and then for business purposes. Lots of opportunities. I love living in London. Suits my personal circumstances. But then Indonesia is a great place to come, visit, explore, get the business, do the business, attend to the clients, do the events,
Yeah.
networking events, seminars, so on and so forth,
Right.
and then fly back out.
And how about let's talk about a little bit like expenses on closing. Like in China is definitely cheap. I mean, China I think number one in terms of that. Like because
I miss those
90
2 RMB socks.
99% of the, well, let's say 100% of the clothes you buy, it's produced in China. And obviously in China there are different brands as well, like Adidas,
To be
Nike,
very
and
honest,
stuff like that.
bro,
But they are also produced there. So
that's true. But to
it's
be
very
honest, one
cheap.
thing I would disagree here is Thailand and Cambodia are cheaper in clothes
Oh really? Okay.
than China.
Okay. All right.
I've been to both countries recently as well. Thailand is
Yeah, I've been
definitely for
to
t-shirts
Thailand
and
as
for
well, yeah.
shorts. Even recently, even after the pandemic, when the global inflation is quite sky high,
Right.
Thailand is still quite cheap for clothes. But
Okay.
yes, Southeast Asia in terms of clothes. So talking about clothes, Indonesia is
Okay.
no
How
different.
much you spent in Thailand and Indonesia for 1 month, for example, for clothes? Average
Honestly,
person.
once you buy clothes, let's say you spend $50 to $60, that's enough clothes for you to
One
last you
T-shirt, let's say
$6 to $8
$6 to $8.
per T-shirt.
Okay.
But let's say you spend $50 or $100.
In China, decent T-shirt is going to cost you 100 yuan. 100 yuan is a little bit more than $10, right? I
About
mean $75.
14, 15, $15.
Yeah, $15.
$15, $15 to $16 per T-shirt.
Yeah.
But the thing is, here $6 to $8 per T-shirt. You spend $100 for on clothes. It's enough to last you for a couple of months. Then you go and rotate again. So clothes are never expensive, unless of course you go for major brands, LVs, Gucci's, Pradas,
Yeah, of
whatever.
course. They're
That's
out of the
different.
question. I mean,
But
we're
I'm
just-
talking about like generic day-to-day brands for day-to-day wear, like
course.
flippers. There's a brand flippers for slippers, like flip-flops. Amazing brand. You're talking about 100,000 IDR, which is what, $6
Okay.
for like a really good pair of like flip-flops. A really comfortable pair.
All right.
So shoes, clothes, everything, socks, whatever. This is super cheap here in Indonesia. Just like cheaper than China and on par with
But I
Indonesia
guess,
and on par with Thailand and Cambodia.
But I guess I agree, with you. But most importantly, what you have is just like Rishi mentioned in the beginning of the video. What you have here and most of the Southeast Asia is the
Cheap labor.
facilities here, just like that. I mean,
Exactly.
living in China, for example, yeah, you can go to the beach. I guess you can rent a car, or if you have a car, you can ride to another city or something where there's a shoreline. But you're not going to have the same kind of beach there, right? Or
Not at all.
or even the pool, for example. Yeah, you can go in a hotel or something.
W Hotel in Shanghai has
yeah.
got an amazing pool.
Of course, but
But
it's
that's
not
like-
in a open area like
Exactly,
that.
no.
And plus, I think everybody agrees. Like, if you don't like winter, then yeah, Southeast Asia is your place.
It's
like
tropical,
I
of
don't,
course.
I really don't like cold weather, so it's.
I
Like,
don't mind the cold weather. I actually miss this year. The UK there was quite a mild winter, but even then, sun, sand, and sea are here in Indonesia, of course.
Yeah.
But also not just the cost of living. If you're like a young entrepreneur in your mid to late 20s, if you really want to focus on a business, really want to grow for the rest of your life, I talk about financial independence in my videos. Bali is the place to be for 5 to 7 years. Grow your business.
Yeah,
You'll have
grow your
enough that you're sustainable for life.
You can concentrate on the business, like you mentioned. You don't have to worry about cooking. You don't have to worry about cleaning your house. Yeah, of course you can do those things. I mean, it's not that they are wrong or something like that. It's just I'm talking about
I used to do that in
fully
China.
dedication
On the business.
on the business, developing your business and working on it 24/7. This is the place to be. I think. I agree. Of course, maybe just like those guys, from the US I mentioned and the Germany. They said that you can maybe change places in Southeast Asia, 6 months here, 6 months there, and 6 months here, and you can feel you can experience yourself, and you can pick a country where you feel more comfortable, in. Definitely, I stayed in Bali before pandemic, but a lot of things changed. Now I can see that definitely prices have gone up, and Bali become really busy, especially after
I
pandemic.
came here during the pandemic. I didn't
There's
make
a
any
lot of
videos.
traffic is bad.
But
really
traffic
bad.
is bad. One thing, and Jakarta is even worse. Traffic, I missed the Shanghai traffic. It was very disciplined. we don't have that kind of disciplined traffic in the UK, and Bali's traffic is notorious. We're going to make a vlog on that next one. But anyhow, thank you so much for watching.
Thank you guys. Yeah.
And then, like, you know,
Stay
if you
tuned
again
for more
have
videos.
any questions, just drop them in the comment section below. We'll try to answer them as soon as possible.
Cheers.
Cheers.